Hi, I'm Alex Majocha. Alongside me is Levi Hutch. Today, we're going to talk to you about Roman law. Levi, take it away.
First, we're going to talk about the law of the 12 tables. It was created to prevent personal opinion or bias from a magistrate or a judge, as the modern day term would go. It covered mostly private law, and it took from 451 BC to about 450 BC to have it fully done.
Yeah, and one thing about the law of 12 tables, that something that would happen to you if you were to commit a crime. If I committed the crime of arson on someone else's house, my punishment would be to be burned to death. Other punishments that were less severe, like stealing bread or something, you could lead to being banished from Rome or your loss of citizenship. Next up is public law. Public law in Rome was almost as if the same constitution we have today. The thing about it is it was not written down. Therefore, it was constantly evolving. Another thing about public law in Rome is that there was unwritten things in today's world known as checks and balances and separation of power. But they were used differently and said differently, which makes it unaware to the human eye today to see that they had these things. So public law in Rome was very similar to the Constitution that we have now.
Before we continue any further, you might be wondering, how do we even know that any of this happened or is even true? Well, the Romans back then, they wrote all this stuff down on papyrus tablets. So we're able to do a presentation on this because of that. In 367 BC, a law was passed that allowed Roman plebeians, or people of lower class, to become consuls. A consul is an official appointed by the government to live in a foreign city and protect and promote the government citizens and interests there. A supposition. What is that? Well, a supposition is what can we tell by the Romans from looking at the stuff we're seeing in this presentation? Well, you can tell they're organized people. They wrote down these laws on 12 bronze tablets, the 12 tables. That kind of shows they wanted to have an organized system of government. They wanted to have organized law, and that's something that's the first thing we can tell.
Yeah, another thing that we can tell from looking at Roman law now is that they obviously really did value the legal system to try to progress it to make it a big thing as it is today in America.
Yeah, they wanted to have, in their eyes, the best people included in the legal system because they really wanted it to work out in the future.
The last thing here to talk about Roman law is how to be a person in the legal system. Now, it's very easy, by the way. You just had to not be a slave or be a citizen or just be a family in Roman wealth. Basically, very easy to be a person in the legal system. All of us or any of us in the class could probably be one because none of us are slaves. We're all citizens, at least I hope, Cam. And, Roman wealth really isn't a thing anymore, but we could all be leaders, together.
And we were also taught to include more of government. The government, they regulated all this. They had to make sure you weren't a slave. If you were, they had to make sure you were a citizen, and they had to make sure you were born into a family of wealth. If you didn't fall into that criteria, then you just weren't included in the legal system.
Now let's give it back to the real Alex and Levi to talk to you about the Venn diagram.